This week, the Montreal Canadiens announced a contract extension for forward Sean Monahan. I like this move, and today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think this was a really good signing for Kent Hughes. Now, following in the footsteps of an 8-year contract extension for Cole Caulfield, maybe a 1-year extension seems like small peas for Sean Monahan, although I highly doubt it, and it should not be insignificant for Habs fans either. The Canadiens announced this week that they signed Sean Monahan to a 1-year contract extension valued at $1.985 million. It also includes a $15,000 games played bonus if he plays 26 games, which would bring him to an even $2 million at the end of the season. Interestingly, that is 1 game more than Monahan dressed for the Habs this past season when he played just 25 games, but during that time, he managed to pot 6 goals and added 11 assists for 17 points in those 25 games played. Before we get to the 3 reasons why I think this was a slam dunk contract signing for Kent Hughes, let's just look back and do a bit of background on Sean Monahan. He was drafted by the Calgary Flames back in 2013, 6th overall. This is a top 10 first-round draft pick. He went on to spend the next 9 years with the Calgary Flames. He was an alternate captain for about 7 of those years and put up some pretty good numbers while he was there. He then suffered some injuries along the way, which really started to hamper him. In 2018, he had wrist surgery. In 2021, he had surgery on his left hip. And then a year later, in spring of 2022, had to have surgery on his right hip. And then he was traded in August of 2022 to the Montreal Canadiens for future considerations, which is something you usually only see at the AHL level. You only see that future considerations pop up at the American League level, or particularly at the ECHL level. It was the case this time. Calgary sent Sean Monahan and a conditional 2025 first-round pick to Montreal in exchange for future considerations. Now, why did they do that? Well, they needed to clear cap space to sign a big fat contract for Nazem Kadri, and that's what they effectively did not long after completing this trade with Montreal to ship out Sean Monahan. Then, unfortunately, the injury bug bit Sean Monahan again after putting up some decent numbers in the first quarter to half of the season for Montreal. Suffered a broken foot at the beginning of December in 2022, was rehabbing that, but in January, then suffered a groin injury during the rehabilitation process, was put on LTIR, and ultimately then in April needed surgery to repair the groin injury. The good news is, in his press availability this week, he says he's absolutely 100% healthy now, and he even went as far as to say he feels healthier now than he has in years, and that's a very good indication for Sean Monahan and for the Montreal Canadiens. So why do I think this was a good contract signing for Kent Hughes? I'll give you 3 reasons. First and foremost is Sean Monahan's proven ability to produce. Prior to his rash of injuries that started, between 2018 and 2021-22, before all of that started, Sean Monahan was perennially a 20-plus goal scorer per season, many times going over the 30-goal mark. His first year with the Calgary Flames was the 2013-14 season. So yes, he played 75 games with Calgary in his draft year. In that year, he potted 22 goals and 12 assists for 32 points. That's not shabby for a rookie in the NHL. The following season, played 81 games, 31 goals, 31 assists for 62 points. They put an A on his sweater in the 2015-16 season, scoring 27 goals and 36 assists. The following year, 27 goals yet again, 31 assists. And then in the 2017-18 season, 74 games played. Remember, he injured a wrist in there. 31 goals, though, still, and 33 assists. The following season, 34 goals and 48 assists for his NHL career high season of 82 points that year. The following year, the 2019-20 season, is where things started to get a little weird because of COVID, but he did manage to get in 70 games that season with 22 goals and 26 assists. So even in a shortened COVID season, still hit that 20-goal mark. 2020 to 2021 is when there were COVID shutdowns and those kinds of things. So he didn't play as much that year, only 50 games. So 10 goals and 18 assists in 50 games. Then you start to get the injuries happening. The 21 to 22 season, he only played 65 games, scoring 8 goals and 15 assists. We see that in the last year or so of his time with Calgary, partially due to shutdowns, but partially due to the injury issues, that's when we saw his production kind of scale back. But what we saw in those 25 games that he played once coming to Montreal, he seemed to break out of that a bit again. 17 points in 25 games is nothing to turn your nose up at. It was a good start of rejuvenation for Sean Monahan's game. It's unfortunate that injury shut him down for the rest of the season. We know what Sean Monahan is capable of as long as he can stay healthy and as long as, he's got some good wingers around him. Sean Monahan has the ability to be an exceptionally productive centerman, and that could mean really big things for himself, for the team, and for maybe some young wingers around him. Which leads me to my second point, which is the fact that Sean Monahan is a center. You're looking at center depth. You've got Suzuki. You want to now see Kirby Dach remain at center. And if you've got Sean Monahan in the mix at center as well, that's starting to look, if Sean Monahan can get back to his pre-injury kinds of numbers, and if Kirby Dach remains at center and remains kind of that forward trajectory that he was having once he got moved from wing back to center last season, then you're starting to look at some real strength down the middle for the Montreal Canadiens. And as an aside, it's also kind of why I say you don't need to pay Pierre-Luc Dubois $9 million or more a year to come in and be a center when you've got the pieces of the puzzle that could work for you already on the roster. My third reason why I really like this Monahan signing, his experience and leadership abilities. If there is one thing that Sean Monahan does well, aside from his scoring prowess, is that he's a good guy in the room. He's a good mentor to younger players. He is a very good leader. I did mention he wore an A on his sweater in Calgary for 7 of the 9 seasons that he was there. Oh, did I also happen to mention that he's been a Lady Byng Memorial Trophy finalist in the past? He also captained the Ottawa 67s back in his junior days. Sean Monahan comes with built-in leadership capabilities for a group that is as young as the Canadiens are going to be this year and probably next year with this rebuild environment that they're in. You want good character veterans who have good experience and excellent leadership capabilities to really help the younger players on the team mature and learn and gain experience from them as well and be a sponge. And Sean Monahan is a great kind of player for them to do that. And so for all of those reasons, I say bravo, Kent Hughes. This was an excellent signing that didn't cost the Canadiens a lot of money against the cap. If you like the kind of commentary you're hearing today here on Habs Hockey Report, then I would invite you, if you haven't done so already, just tap that subscribe button down below. Make sure you tap the notification bell so that you never miss an episode each and every Thursday. And hey, hit that like button while you're at it and just share this episode on your favorite social media platform. Now, a couple of minutes ago, I mentioned that possible Pierre-Luc Dubois acquisition. Well, on last week's show, I went a little in depth about the rumors that keep cropping up about Pierre-Luc Dubois potentially coming to Montreal, and I had some pretty strong opinions on why I don't think that would be a great move for Kent Hughes, and explored the rumors that Kent Hughes might be looking to move up from 5th overall in next week's draft. If you missed it, you can watch that show right here, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.